Institute of Management, PGDM Batch 2021-23, welcome you all today to today's webinar session, wherein three CEOs and CMDs of highly sought-after companies, two of whom have also been Senior Vice President and Presidents of 117-year-old National Apex Chamber, PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry are with us today, along with two highly distinguished women leaders. PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry has a membership base of 130,000 companies who are not only big recruiters from campuses, but also run by highly learned and experienced founders who are respected at the global level. All kinds of businesses pass through difficult and turbulent situations almost every day, and how they handle such colossal challenges and navigate successfully through such tough situations is what we try to teach the MBA students at NDIM. Today, we are extremely grateful to the four eminent panelists who not only have been successfully handling their hardest business challenges, but also have taken PhD CCI to far greater heights as they were the presidents of the chamber during its most trying times in the last 100 years, that is the COVID period.
Before introducing them, allow us to introduce the New Delhi Institute of Management. Established in 1992, NDIM has been declared as the first and the only Mentor Business School of India and the only B School continuously declared Best in India 3 years in a row for industry linkages and under 19 other parameters, including placements by AICTE, Government of India, and the Confederation of Indian Industry. NDIM is the only business school declared Best in India by ASSOCHAM, the Associated Chambers of Commerce and Industry, continuously for the last 5 years for placements parameters and as the Best in North India. FICCI, the Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, has also declared NDIM as the Best in India for excellence in employability through industry engagement. NDIM is the first and the only business in the country to be declared Best in India for industry linkages and placements simultaneously by all the premier national trade and industry chambers of the country and by AICTE Government of India. Without further ado, let us introduce our eminent panelists for today's webinar. We'll be going in alphabetical order.
Our first speaker for this evening is Mr. D.K. Agarwal. Mr. D.K. Agarwal is a promoter and one of the key architects of the success of the SMC Group. He's the chairman and managing director, SMC Capitals Limited, SMC Investments and Advisors Limited, chairman, Golf Federation of India, and former national president of PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry. He has over 3 decades of experience in the securities market and financial services. He's an eminent speaker and regularly presents his views and expertise on various market-related issues through print and television media. He's also a fellow member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India and has been recently conferred upon with the Distinguished Entrepreneurship Award by one of the Apex Business Chambers of India, PhD Chamber of Commerce.
Our second speaker for today is Mr. Sanjay Agrawal. Mr. Sanjay Agrawal is the chairman and CEO of the Paramount Cables Group. He has been an integral part of the growth story of Paramount, scaling it from a small industrial unit to one of the largest cable manufacturers in India. Over the past 34 years, Mr. Sanjay has been the recipient of numerous prestigious awards, which include the National Small Industry Award 1984, given away by the President of India, Entrepreneur of the Year Award 1994 by All India Manufacturers Organization, to name a few. He has served as the President of Rotary Club of Delhi Central and President of PhD Chambers of Commerce and Industry. Mr. Sanjay is the alumnus of the prestigious SRCC.
The third speaker for this evening is Ms. Seema Jindal Jajodia. Ms. Seema Jindal Jajodia is a health and fitness-driven woman who started Nourish Organics with the intention of providing easy and ready-to-eat, truly healthy solutions for the busy, on-the-go urban consumer. Seema is the perfect amalgamation of the Nourish Organics brand through her consistent strive to live a fit, healthy, and fulfilled life. She's a certified health coach, an avid trekker, biker, and runner, while also staying close to her spiritual side through daily meditation and yoga practices, as well as her love for art and canvas painting. Overall, she embodies Nourish Organics every step of her way and truly puts this exact same soul and love into creating each well considered, tasteful, and health filled Nourish Organic product.
Our fourth speaker for today is Miss Anuradha Goyal. Miss Anuradha Goyal is an active philanthropist involved in social welfare activities for last 40 years. She is currently working as the chairperson of the PhD Family Welfare Foundation and PhD Chambers Women and Child Development Committee. She is the president and founding member of St. Stephen's Hospital Patients Welfare Society, instrumental in raising funds and treatment for over 30,000 juveniles. Previously, she has served as a president of FICCI Ladies Organization during the Silver Jubilee year of the National Network of Professional Businesswomen, a member of Delhi Social Welfare Board, and vice chairperson of SARC Chamber Women Entrepreneur Council, India.
Now, allow us to introduce today's host, Dr. Vishwamohan Bansal. Dr. V.M. Bansal, Chairman, New Delhi Institute of Management, is a formal civil servant and has been the youngest and the longest serving Secretary, Commissioner, Principal Commissioner, and Director of India's biggest statutory urban body, DDA, Government of India, for 28 years. He has headed several public sector undertakings and was advisor to the Lieutenant Governor Delhi at the time of Commonwealth Games 2010. Now over to you, Chairman, sir.
Thank you so much, Pariksha and Shivani, for introducing all the guests and for hosting us. Thank you very much. And a very, very warm welcome to very distinguished panelists today, or very distinguished thought leaders today, the guides today. We are going to learn a lot from them. And my suggestion to them would be, for the information of all the people who are attending and who will be joining us shortly in the coming minutes, is that since the topic is such which very, very large number of people are interested to learn from them, large number of people even sent to me that I'm traveling and how can I have the video recording later. So I informed them it's live on the Facebook, and we'll send you the recording as well. The topic is not relevant just for the MBA graduates or MBA students. It is just relevant for everybody in life today. All the businesses, all the activities that we are into every day, I would say every day or every minute, are prone to challenges, bigger challenges, and toughest of the challenges. Only when we are uphill the journey, when we are beginning, when we are in 20s or 30s, 40s, we find today is the worst challenge that I had. But when you are the CMDs, when you are the presidents, but that time you know that you have traversed through hundreds of such challenges which you don't even remember. But yes, we have tried our best and requested all the great panelists to scratch their minds and to tell us which were the toughest situations they faced. What were those situations? Why they were toughest? What could have been the difficulties? And what really showed them the way, how they handle. So gradually we'll request them that in the coming days, possibly this could be the beginning of a case study writing on the learnings that are imparted to us by the great leaders today. And we would seek their time, we would associate a faculty with them. We would love to take this learning to the larger masses. So I'll not take more time. I'll just now request Anuradha Goyal ji, who is a very distinguished, I would say, I don't say activist, but very distinguished server of the humanity. And she's a part of New Delhi Institute of Management. Both Agarwal Sahab I would say Agarwal Saab, they come in the same category, DK Saab and Sanjay Ji. They've been a big support to us all these years, all the time. And it's a pleasure now trying to establish same relationship with Seema Ji. It's an honor and pleasure having you all. Anuradha Ji, you would like to start with DKG, and we would try that we take all the three toughest challenges. If they can do in 6 minutes each every time, so by 7:15 we'll be over with these things. Then it will be open to the questions and answers. Over to you, Anuradha Ji. You can unmute yourself and please proceed.
Thank you, Dr. Bansal. As we were discussing earlier, the challenges faced when discussed with the students of NDIM will be a great learning process for them. Our first esteemed panelist is Dr. D.K. Garwal, a visionary, an outstanding administrator, and a financial expert of repute. He has a singular distinction of converting online the entire working of PhD during the first wave of COVID-19. Work went on as normal despite the lockdown, and he ended the year with a bang, a real memorable year. DKG, please share your challenges with our students. Over to you, DKG.
Thank you, Anuradha ji, for very kind words. Thank you, Dr. V.M. Bansal ji, for giving me this opportunity to be here. And thanks all my colleagues, panelists, for being here and giving me encouragement to be part of this. When I was given this topic, my three toughest business challenges, I recounted various things, various difficulties we faced in last 32 years of our business. And after I identified those three toughest challenges, then I look back, had these things not happened, had we not encountered these three business challenges, where we would have been. I can tell you that because of these challenges, today we are here. Had these challenges not been there, maybe we would have been a very small organization. So what I want to say is that business challenges or challenges in life, they are actually a test. They actually refine us. They make us more strong. And if we fight them bravely, if we stand against the challenges very firmly, then we can convert these challenges into opportunities. And when I look at my challenges, which I faced during last 32 years, I really feel that, they have made us more strong, and we have grown into an organization of the stature as we are today. We would have not been had the challenges not been there. Well, I'll not take much time for this, because I had to tell my first toughest business challenge. So we started our journey like we are into financial services. We are into stock broking, investment banking, insurance broking, wealth management. We are NBFC. We are into distribution of financial services. We are into real estate advisory. We are into almost all the financial services which any NBFC can offer. We started our journey in 1990, and in 2001, I'm sure that a lot of people must have heard Ketan Parikh name. So after Harshad Mehta scam happened in 1992, in 2001, Ketan Parikh default happened. And Ketan Parikh default, we were member of all the exchanges like Kolkata Stock Exchange, Delhi Stock Exchange, NSE and BSE. So our operations in Calcutta was very, very large. And Ketan Parikh was acting through many Calcutta-based brokers. And when this Ketan Parikh's default happened, the brokers who were acting for Ketan Parikh, they did not pay their obligation. And SMC group, like we, suffered a loss, very heavy loss in running in crores, close to 3-digit figure in crores. So, and this was in the time 2001. Today, this would be around 350 to 400 crore. So we did not receive that kind of money at that point of time from these Calcutta-based brokers. Whereas, the system was that we receive this money from these brokers, then we would pay to other brokers and our clients. So the liability to the tune of, as I said, 3 digits, we did not receive from them. So what other brokers did, they did not pay to their clients and their other counterpart brokers. So that was a very easy choice for anybody, because everybody knew that they are not received money from the people from other brokers, so they are not paying. But since client had put a lot of money through us, it was their hard-earned money. And then this business is about trust. This business, like here, bolte na jawan ki value hai, and it is the trust which matters a lot. So we discussed within ourselves, within our promoters of the company, and then with one voice we said that even if we are to sell our all holdings, at that point of time we took 1 year back, we took an office which we had to furnish. And that was a very large building which we had taken. So we said that we'll sell that part of that building also, if need arises. We'll sell all our holdings, we'll do whatever is required, but we'll pay to everyone, to even the brokers to whom we had to pay, and to all our clients. And that time I can tell you, this was a very bold decision, because there was a choice that even if you don't pay, nobody is going to blame you. Of course, you will lose the trust. And secondly, we were, one that this was our value system, that if we will clear everybody's liability, will not keep anybody's money, even a rupee. So we decided and we'll pay back, and we paid to everyone. So that was very difficult. We sold our holdings, we sold part of the building, but we paid everybody. But I tell you what resulted after that. We were member of Kolkata Stock Exchange, and the Kolkata Stock Exchange after that closed. So there were 300, 400 Kolkata Stock Exchange brokers. They lost business, but they were still into this market. And NSE was the market then. NSE Stock Exchange that became the favorite market. So we were member of NSE. So all those stock brokers, they became our sub-broker. Similarly, this is what happened in Delhi. The Delhi Stock Exchange also got closed. So their brokers, many of their brokers, they became our clients as our sub-brokers. And our business expanded exponentially. So the learning is that one has to look at the long term, not short term. Secondly, the trust is the most important, the value system. If you stick to that, initially in the short term, you may face difficulties, but long term, you are the winner. So that is what I thought that I should share with you.
Fantastic. Before Anuradha ji goes to Sanjay ji, DK, ये बताओ आपकी उस वक्त उम्र कितनी थी?
That was 2001. So I was 30, you can say 38-year-old.
Fantastic. So that adds more color to what you're saying. Thank you so much. It's a great learning. Anuradha ji, please. Please unmute Anuradha ji. Kindly unmute.
DK is where he is today because he didn't compromise on values. So our next speaker, our panelist, is our immediate former president of PhD CCI, Mr. Sanjay Agarwal. Sanjay ji is a philanthropist, a renowned industrialist, and an innovator. During the COVID wave, he realized the need for supplying oxygen to hospitals which catered to needy people. So he got the managing committee of PhD to come together and he raised donations for 12 oxygen plants, fully functional oxygen plants, which were donated fully free of cost, installed also free of cost to hospitals which catered to needy people. I think that was being involved, as was mentioned in my CV, with St. Stephen's Hospital for the past 48 years. I feel this gesture on the part of Sanjay ji and his team during his tenure was absolutely outstanding. It was much needed and deeply appreciated. Over to Sanjay ji.
And Anuradhaji is also, he is now the president of the Rotary Central Delhi. So again, he keeps on getting into bigger and bigger service related activities and philanthropy every day.
Mr. Bansalji is one of the members of my club, and I'm very sure that I'm going to lean very heavily on Bansalji for actually coming to be able to do what we need to do in our club, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Anuradhaji, for such a kind introduction, and I'm very grateful to NDIM and to Bansalji and to my co-panelists today, my senior DK Agarwalji and Seema ji, whom I'm meeting for the first time, but we'll be, of course, keeping in good touch in future. So it's really a pleasure for me to be here and to be sharing some of my experiences. So I think since I'm going to have 3 opportunities to share 3 different challenges I faced, I'll start with the very first challenge that I faced when I was a young boy. Doesn't seem possible looking at my gray hair today, but it was the case at some point. So I had graduated out of my college and joined the business which my father had established. It was a small enterprise. We were making certain range of cables for which we were in a reasonable position. But the challenge that I faced when I graduated and when I joined the business was that we were seeing that the sort of product that we were making, it was many people had jumped into the fray over the last few years, and the number of competitors that we were having in that limited market was getting too large. And being the new, being the fresh blood into the business, it was supposed to be me who was going to be doing something. And that was the challenge of obsolescence then, or being out-competed by too many players in the same space. And then I started doing some research. Research, by the way, in those times was comparatively a bit tougher rather than the flick of a Google today. So one had to actually, go out into the field and go and understand where the opportunities are, what the market could actually need. And I was able to identify certain areas where there was a demand, the customer wanted it, but the existing suppliers were not interested in meeting that demand. So I personally got involved, for example, in developing a cable called axle counter cable for the Indian Railways for their signaling security systems. And that they had 20 suppliers, but nobody was willing to put up the time or the effort to develop that particular cable which they badly needed. And I was a graduate from the Sri Ram College of Commerce, not an engineer. But one thing I would like to share here is that when you are out on a career, when you are actually doing things as a businessman, as a manager, or as a simple participant in any enterprise, you have to rise above or forget about your education or training or what it was about, because it is supposed to be only one part of it's a major part of your character development. It's not you. It does not, if you are an engineer, it does not mean that you will not learn to run finance or to look at HR issues, or if you are a commerce graduate, does not mean that you can apply your mind technically and do things, because ultimately everything is done by the logic. You have to work on a logic. And of course, you have to keep learning all the time. Now, learning, again, cannot be quantified, or it cannot be put into different boxes, that this is an engineer's learning and this is a commerce graduate's learning, or this is what. ultimately it is what you have set out to do that you have to learn. So I got down to it and I was able to design the first axial counter cable in the country, and that is what became a big booster for my company. We were able to differentiate ourselves, do something really on a different level compared to what the competition was doing. And then I found another opportunity because I thought that, okay, I developed this one product which is doing well, but let me go out and research, which actually meant traveling around various telecom factories across the country, what sort of products they would need. And then again, I came across again a challenge or an opportunity, what do you call it? There was new types of electronic telephone exchanges being manufactured in the country sometime around, that was around 1987, 88, sometime around that. And again, the telecom factories had a large number of suppliers, but none of those manufacturers or vendors was willing to develop those new type of cables that were needed to different French specifications or for things for which data was not available. We worked day and night in I think 6 to 8 months span. We developed some 70, 80 types of cables for them. And that gave our company such a huge boost for the next 5, 7 years that we were on a different orbit. So every time that one is facing a challenge that, okay, you are facing the challenge of competition, obsolescence, whatever, it becomes an opportunity if you actually go out and do things which others are not doing. So whether you call it innovation, you call it development, you call it R&D, these are all different terms of basically the same activity, which is to apply your mind and do something new, something different, and be better than your competition. So I think that is a basic learning I got, and all these things that I did in the first 10 years of my career were actually then able to launch me into the next phase. So I believe what's really important is that you do not define boundaries to your knowledge or to what you can or what you want to do. It is a task at hand, and then to develop the capabilities, commercial, legal, technical, whatever you need, and get it done. That's I believe that's a lesson I learned from my experience on this.
And Sanjay ji, that kill instinct that you had in your 20s or early 30s, I'm sure that is multiplied over the years. Yeah.
I hope I retain some of it.
No, I'm sure it's multiplying. Otherwise, you won't have been where you are. Maybe they were more visible at that time, and today you can conceal them well, or you can, not let people know about it. Yeah, it is like that. Anuradha ji, please.
Sanjay ji, you have given us a very good insight on how to adapt knowledge in useful ways, and you've used your knowledge to grow your business without being a follower of what you have learned. So our next third panelist is Miss Seema Jindal Jajodia. I first met Seema when she was chair of the Young FICCI Ladies Organization. I saw the leadership spark in her. I knew that Seema would go great ways. Subsequently, she started Nourish Organics with nutritional ingredients. At that time, it was quite an untreaded territory. Today, you have many people going into it, but when Seema started, I think she was one of the pioneers. Despite adversity, she has managed to make an outstanding success of it. Keep it up, Seema, and we want to see you grow in leaps and bounds in the years to come. Over to Seema.
Thank you so much, Anuradha ji. I think you've always thought of me as much more than what I think I can do or achieve. But thank you for having faith in me. I'm a textile designing student, and as Sanjay ji said that, he came from a different background of education. Sorry, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, very much. Yeah.
So as he came from a different education background, I'm an art student. I got married at the age of 20, and I immediately, as wives of businessmen do in my family, is to start doing CSR work in the factories. And that is what I was doing. I also currently run a school for special needs children in Delhi. So that was my main thing that I was good at, and I still continue to do that. But two people in my family got cancer, and they were really suffering, and they were, I, being their daughter-in-law, I was going to the hospitals, talking to the nutritionists about their nutrition, and the doctors told me to not give them sugar. The doctors told me to give them organic food. The doctors told me give them more nutrition because they could only eat so much. So I started to research on food. I mean, food was always there and normal. We all ate more homemade food, not like today. We didn't have any Zomatos and Swiggies that time. So eating out was a treat. So we used to eat home food. So we were all generally healthy. And I've been brought up in Hisar, and where we had all fresh, cow's milk, and all almost homemade, home vegetables, everything. But what I realized was that organic food sector in India that time was very, very disorganized. And I started to search for my family and for my nani and Mosi who had cancer. And it was really a challenge. So I started to just develop things, started to work till my friends, thought, told me, and a lot of family members told me that why don't you make it a business, because now you've actually created so many things. So the whole challenge of actually looking for things, and I found that there were a lot of things in India which were organic, which were so nutritious that people in the hills were eating it, but nobody else knew about it. People who came from smaller towns, like I did from Hisar, we were eating bajra very frequently, but nobody in the towns ate bajra. So people were becoming more modern. People were leaving all our traditional foods and going to pasta and pizza and just junk food. So that really led me to experiment and try and come to make things which were scientifically more nutritious. And I just want to show you, so we developed my brand, which is looks like this. It's called Nourish Organics, and it's really been a challenge to actually make what will sell. So because I created this niche, I created something new for people to try. It wasn't something that they knew that they needed. We created a sort of a product where we a large part of it has been educating people why flaxseed is good for you. So I think that continues to be my challenge, that education about these products is very, very low. People want very tasty, very sweet things. That is what sells. So that continues to be a challenge. That's an overall overarching challenge. But one of my first challenges was how to build my team. Everybody thought I come from a very rich family. I am doing this as a passion project. No good people wanted to join me. They didn't want to stick with me. They just thought that she's not going to be serious about, pata nahi kitne din inka shauk rahega ye kaam ke liye. But it's been 10 years now, and over time I have some very junior people who have risen to good positions. Now we have a good team. My daughter works with me, and it's shaping up to be a nice company now. So that was my big challenge, to convince people to stay with me.
That's great.
That's a big challenge, especially when they simply thought that you're a Bollywood star's daughter and you are there, you'll be just accepted and your product will be sold, not knowing that the movie can fail in a very big way. Yeah, no, that's quite right. Must have been a big challenge.
Yeah.
Radha ji, you could come back to DK Agarwal sir. आप unmute कर लें. Unmute कर लें राधा जी kindly.
सीमा ने बिल्कुल ठीक कहा. लोगों ने सोचा होगा कि ये शौकिया अंदाज कर रही हैं, एक आध साल करेंगी, भूल जाएंगी. But she has really inculcated in people the desire to eat healthy. Seema, you've done that very successfully. Can we now have our second round? DKG, can I request you to please share your second challenge with us?
Even the bigger challenge than the previous one. We should keep on going up the hill so that we keep on learning more and more out of what your innings have been.
Thank you, Anuradha ji. In 2009-10, one of the largest financial corporate of South Africa, that is a company named Sanlam Group. They had a market cap of around $6 billion that time. So we tied up with them for running wealth management business in India, because they were the second largest in South Africa and they had a expertise. So it was decided between the JV partners that they would run this business and SMC would provide the support. So it was a 50-50 JV in wealth management business, where we will manage the wealth of HNI clients, ultra HNI clients. So for 2 years, in next 2 years, we saw that we were losing money heavily in that business. Close to 40-50 crore we lost. I mean, loss was not that important, because in any business, you lose money initially. But considering that it was not a startup, we were already into wealth management and they came as a very experienced partner. And the expectation was that they would make bigger money. And as they had experience also. But, we realized that losing that kind of money is okay if in future we are going to make money. So both the JV partners, sat for a review and asked the CEO who was running this company that you give your future projections. They say that they're just saying that if you play cards, you should know when to fold it. So the CEO gave the prediction that in next 5 years, another next 5 years, we are going to burn at least 100 to 150 crore rupees further. Then, that was going to be a big loss. Though being a JV partner, we did not, want it to be seen that we are withdrawing. So we told them, whatever, if you are okay, we are okay. With this kind of projection, we have no issue. We, as a joint venture partner, we will continue, because stopping any enterprises at this moment, taking a hit of around 40 crore is okay in case you also decide to continue. But they were also very, conservative, and they said, no, the kind of business which we are running here, the model which we replicated from South Africa, will not run in India. We were mistaken, and we replicated the model which we were having in South Africa. India has its own peculiarities. Here people do not invest, their 60 to 70% of the investment is held in equities. So that was not the case in India at that point of time. Even now it is not the case. So a lot of people even now invest into real estate or gold or other alternative investments. So we partners decided that we'll exit the business, and Indian entity like SMC will take over this business. Then at that point of time, 40 crore was a big loss. So obviously it was to be shared 50-50. But then we discussed within ourselves with the SMC promoters that should we give them this loss. And it was thought that as a gesture, we should not give them the hit. We should let them exit at whatever investment they brought. So we should give them the old money back. And we did that. So our JV partners were so, with this gesture, they were so happy. They said, "Ki, we want to stick with you, maybe not in this business, but in the parent company, we would like to have a stake." They brought in more money than what they brought initially, and they took a bigger stake in the company. So what I'm saying is that, one, you should be a quick decision maker. You should know, if you're playing card, you should know when to fold it. And also, sometimes the gestures like what we did, that may be a pain in short term, but that is again in long term. So, I mean, I think even for us, that was something which we never expected, that they will pump more money and will do all that, but that happened.
That's very remarkable. Very remarkable.
Very interesting. Dr. D.K. Agarwal, is that the time you got the doctorate?
No, I got the doctorate while I was in PhD.
I know that, but which the university in South Africa gave it to you, no?
Yeah, one of the African universities.
I remember that because I came for the get together.
Yes.
So proud of you when you got the doctorate.
Thank you.
This is a very interesting episode you've shared with us. Can I now request Mr. Sanjay Agarwal? Sanjay ji, please, आप अपना second episode, जैसे Dr. Bansal ने कहा, और भी ज़्यादा challenging episode share करिएगा.
Before I come to my second challenging episode, I must really appreciate what D.K. Agarwal ji said. He was my immediate superior. He was the president when I was a senior vice president in the chamber. So we had the pleasure of 2 years working together. And the sort of learning that comes from both the episodes that he has recounted is actually amazing. Your dealing, the genuineness, your honesty in dealing is something, and the large heart. It's not, you can be honest, but you can still be of a, very tight-fisted nature. But I think all of this taken together, it works a magic which is there and which is there for keeps, which is there for long, which many people don't understand. And I can, not to the extent of the sort of numbers that he has mentioned, but that has also been my guiding principle throughout the life, that you never need to be mean or miser to make money. You have to be large-hearted and honest and genuine. That is the most important mantra for anybody to really succeed in business on a long-term basis. Short-term victories are always there possible. Coming back to my challenge, as I just said, that we developed those cables and we got to a certain size, we were doing well, but we were still a small-scale industry. We were not into the so-called real organized sector as it used to be called at that time. That was the time before of license Raj or whatever. But I knew that I had to graduate to the different level. But being still an MSME by that time, there were certain limitations to the amount of funding I could have had, the size of operations I had, to graduate into a large-scale company, to be ordering some machinery worth some 10, 15 crores at that point of time. And not being even a corporate, we used to be organized as a partnership concern, where my father and myself and my younger brother were the partners. That's it. It was all simply very simply, in a simple manner, it was organized. So the challenge at that time was that how do we graduate to the next step, or we remain in this MSME space forever? And at that time, we decided, okay, one has to find out firstly what are the regulations, what are the laws of the land, and then what can be acceptable. So did a lot of homework, talking to professionals, legal lawyers, chartered accountants, understood everything. converted my company as a running concern, my partnership firm into a company as a running concern, because if I make a new company, it won't have any track record to be able to do much. So that same business got converted into under a special provision of law, which was at that time Chapter 9 of the Companies Act, if I remember correctly. Got it converted into a company, and within, I think, a few months of that, came out with a public issue, raised our own capital from whatever we had, including selling off some extra properties that we had. And the public issue came about, did the rounds all over the country. I remember I was 32 years old at that time, yes, 1994. And whatever it took, end of the day, we raised funds from the small investor. We raised some funds from some of the larger investors also. And end of the day, we scraped through. I'm not saying it was a booming success, but the public issue was, we were able to scrape through. We were able to set up the large manufacturing plant that we wanted. It was a plant to manufacture JLFL telephone cables, which was a product very highly in demand at that time. We succeeded, and we started off as the smallest player in that industry, having some 20-25 players. And by that time, within 3-4 years, the industry had grown to 50, and I was there among the top 5 in the industry. So, that was simply because we had to do things which were totally out of the book, to be, actually going out, understanding, and then sewing up things together which they are not existing as a book in a chapter for you. You have to try and go out and understand what you can do, how you can meet your ambition, but then you have to work day and night, ultimately make sure that it's not only the great idea, not just the big idea, but also the execution of it. So if you fail, if you have a big idea, but if you're not there to actually execute it in the finest of minutest of detail, you're going to fall flat. So you have to do that not on your own strength, personal strength alone. You have to have your team who have to be working with you, and you have to be, therefore, in all this process, every possible, discipline of business or business management, whether you call it HR or commercial or technical skills or, whatever you call it, it's all have to be rolled into one. You will need specialists as you grow, as you become bigger. But at the initial stage, you have to be Mr. Everything or Miss Everything, right? And then that's what even Seemaji has done, right? So that's the only way one gets to be there. And when you get to be there, of course, you need all sorts of specialists, all sorts of special domain knowledges, for which there'll be people doing that. So that's a bit of my second challenge. And both these challenges, I must say, were the greatest opportunities. As DKG also said, challenge is actually the opposite side of the mirror. It is the opportunity.
Yes.
Because you overcome the challenge and you have actually gotten over the mountain, and you actually have done something that you would otherwise not be doing or not even have thought of doing.
Yes, that was very good, Sanjay ji. First, you changed the partnership company into a private limited company. Then you raised funds with a public issue, and today you are where you are. Congratulations on thinking about it and making it work. Can we have Seema with your second challenge?
Yeah.
Seema, will you come on board now?
Yeah. So, I just wrote down, what my 3 challenges are. So the second challenge, which I wanted to share, because we have a lot of students listening to us today, was, learning, as I came from the background of textile designing, but as I went along, I decided to educate myself more. I studied to become a health coach. Then I went abroad and I did some specialized cooking courses to learn how to make more nutritious foods, but still to learn how to design products which were healthy, yet could be made in a cheap way, yet could be packaged, yet could be sold. So those were really, it was so difficult because sometimes when I made something, somebody would eat it and say, I would not pay something to eat this, because it was so healthy and it wasn't tasty. So the whole challenge was that how to design a product. So I almost call myself, a, a midway line, that I'm not making a samosa, I'm not making a jalebi, but I'm making a cookie which is slightly sweet so that you get used to having less sweet. So we are almost a midway sort of a brand, because to convert somebody overnight is very, very difficult. So we decided to come into the market with a mid-range product so that people get convinced that, okay, healthy food is not so bad tasting. It can be tasty also. So designing these products has been a huge challenge, and it's ongoing. We take public feedback, we talk to a lot of people, and then we keep innovating. So that's a huge challenge that I have.
So Seema, that's very good. And I think you overcome the challenge of selling it, because now the product is being sold, to the best of my knowledge.
And the
Am I
challenge
right?
of making it tasty, challenge of making it tasty.
Now,
People
Dr.
like,
Bansal, will you please take over
no,
now?
no, and the challenge of people like us coming from Punjab, that we just want something, tasty all the time. We feel, "Hey, bilkul, what is all this gas pus kya hai? हमें नहीं खाना." Okay, so we will be coming back to you, because every day my wife and others के ये खाओ तो सही फ्लैक्सी मैन कह मुझे नहीं खाना भाई मेरे को क्यों why are you giving me all this? Okay, then so many my son daughter says कि आप इतनी मीठा चीनी खाते हो. मैंने कहा यार तुम नहीं खा सकते तो नहीं खाने बट मेरे तो खा सकता हूँ. Why don't you let me eat? So we would come for a lesson or lecture by you, because I need to change, all of us need to change. And once you made the things tastier also, so why not shift? Anuradha ji, after this round, we are going to come to Anuradha Goyal also for at least one such challenge, because she can't use the opportunity only to ask others. So we'll come to you. So, DK ji,
Dr. Bansal, please,
Yeah,
over
please,
to you. Over to you.
thank you so much. Same thing. I have nothing more to say. DK ji is a continuation of the chain which Anuradha ji has started. So please let us know your third, because we are learning a lot, I must say, and all of these things make a big case study. So over to you, DKG.
Thank you, Bansaji. I have talked about my company SMC, various challenges I faced. So in October 2019, I took over as the president of PhD Chamber of Commerce. And when you take such a responsibility, you have a lot of ideas, you have dream. I was very passionate. I thought that I'll be doing something which, which will take the chamber to new height. And I was very, very passionate about it, that I'll do a lot of things. I had a lot of ideas. So first 6 months, of course, we did a number of things. But most of the activities we had lined up in the later 6 months. And on 24th of March 2020, our Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji announced lockdown for 21 days. And the COVID breakout, it was a challenge for everybody. So when the lockdown was announced, immediately everything came to a halt. The life became almost standstill, and there was absolutely, that means no activity, no going out, no meetings, no conference. All the activities of chamber, which was like holding programs, getting various policy makers on platform, going to them, discussing business industry issues. So everything, all these activities came to a halt. And when this lockdown got announced, there was a lot of uncertainty. It is 21 days. What will happen after 21 days? Whether this lockdown will continue, how long it will continue, what will happen. Then industry, because industry cannot come to a halt. So essential industries were allowed. But there were many industries which are supporting industries, like packaging, like support function, but they were not classified as essential. So how essential industries will work without these supporting industries working, without the support like maintenance guys, they are not allowed to move. So then there was export happening, import happening. So somebody who had imported, if he doesn't bring the goods to his factory, there will be a lot of damages, a lot of containers were lying there. Those who were exporting, if these are perishable goods, because there was a lot of issue in transporting. Every state had its own issues. The movement of trucks, movement was, some states were, putting restrictions because of COVID. So there were a lot of challenges which were coming. And when this lockdown got announced, I saw this as an opportunity also. Because, in such a situation, to whom the government will talk, there is no physical interaction happening. To whom the industry will talk, they needed somebody who is available there. And you get a lot of time to discuss about various problems which the industry is facing. So when the life has come to a standstill, there is a lot of time for education, for understanding the problems. So I saw this as an opportunity. And instead of waiting, there was somebody suggested me ki, let us see what happens after 21 days. Let us not do, we can't do anything. That was the suggestion I got from one of the employee. I said, nothing doing. We can't be waiting. I see this as an opportunity. I discussed with Sanjay ji, I discussed with our vice president that time, Pradeep Mutani ji. And we said that let us get active. Let us do whatever best is possible in this scenario. In the second day, I told everybody that we are all working, not from office, but from our places, but we are all working. It is not a holiday. We all are working, and let us do whatever best can be done. Because industry is in problem, government wants somebody to talk to the industry. So we become that bridge, we become that platform, we will provide that bridge between industry and the government. Let us get active. We immediately bought license for Zoom. That was very, maybe on the second day, I said, ki, go for the license. They said, ki, this will cost you this much. I said, don't worry about the cost, you go for it and let us get working. So we put everything into action. We started holding programs every day, two webinars, sometimes 3 webinars. And the good part was the ministers we were inviting earlier, who had no time. Now everybody had time. Whether it was finance minister, whether it was Nitin Gadkari ji, Piyush Goyal ji, everybody, Anurag Thakur ji, to whomsoever we said, ki, sir, this is our webinar, we want you to address, they were ready because it was a webinar and they had a lot of time and they actually wanted to have interaction. So that was though that was a challenge, but we converted that into an opportunity. And I tell you, the kind of programs we had in those periods, when my term ended, I'm so, I became so emotional when for 2 hours continuously, everybody, every managing committee member, they wanted time to say something. And they were so, all the praise. And of course, for the team, because it was not individual effort, it was myself, Sanjay Agrawal ji, Pradeep Multani ji, everybody unitedly, they were available in all the programs. They were available all the time and they provided all the support. But we could convert this into an opportunity to take the chamber to new height. And my sense is that no problem is a problem till we have this problem in our mindset. If we think this as an opportunity, it is actually an opportunity. So this is what I have to say.
I remember DKG all that time, even in fact, you got COVID also, you kept working Same Sanjay ji also and his family got into COVID. He as president kept on working. I said, yaar, ye 4 दिन तो आप आराम कर लो, but you people working all the time that time also. And during your time, since it was all the Zoom time and we had with us same all infrastructure at the college. So as director education, we would be took your education to almost every city and every college of the country. We made members across the country and we took them into all the events of the PhDCCA at that time. It was a great support and great happiness to all of us. Yeah, thank you. And Sanjay ji, I'll come to you little later. Why? Because one of our colleagues, your colleague also with the PhD CCI, Dhanendra Kumarji was former or the founder chairman of the Competition Commission of India. He has asked one question to Seema ji. Okay, just I'll read it so her number comes a little before you this time. He says,
Sure,
I
sure.
started my career from Hisar and my first meeting was with O.P. Jindal and his brothers in April 70. Who were kind enough to come and meet me. My question to Seemaji is, how far being from an industrial family helped you in preparing for the challenges subsequently?
So thank you so much for asking me this question because actually it was very challenging. When I was doing, parts of my family members were, took me seriously. Some did not take me seriously, but they kept saying, some of my relatives, my senior relatives, my uncles and all, they said, you are going to sell food, like we sell steel, we sell aluminium, you're going to sell food. So I said, yeah, I want to change how people in India eat and how food is looked at. And I want to sell healthy food, I want to make things which are very healthy. So I had a lot of mixed reaction. And my mother kept thinking that, she kept telling me to design other products, which, she would talk to somebody whose achars were selling very well, somebody in the, a lot of housewives make things at home and sell. So she said she sells all the time and all that. So I said, Mom, I'm making something which can be sold in many stores. It'll have a longer shelf life. It will be healthier. So, but when Sama Capitals invested in our company and they gave us, so much money. So then my mother felt suddenly that, yeah, she is doing something right because somebody else validated it. And then, it's my family has been very supportive, and eventually they feel very nice that I have stuck to this business. Now my daughter is part of this business, and it has created a name for itself. They feel very proud. As I shared earlier with Mr. Bansal, that my brother Sajan Jindal got this PhD Chambers Commerce email in which this conversation today was posted, and he shared it with everyone. And so they feel very proud about it. And I think they will always encourage me. My mother always tells me that, give me some job, something that I can do for you, So I think it's really nice that as a woman, I have been able to show the next generation and family that that if we really set out to do something, we can do something really, really good for the society. It's not always about making money. Also, I really want to change the way we eat. I think that is something that I'm very driven about.
No, we have been able to do it. In fact, I must say, since we belong almost to the same belt, they would feel that because in any case, clearances had to come from the generation senior to us. Okay. They would say, कि इसका तो कुछ ठीक नहीं, दिमाग ठीक नहीं चल रहा है, So we know you can be more frank between ourselves, We would say there's something gone wrong, इसको समझाओ कोई. Okay. So, but good that आप उनकी समझ आपने नहीं ली, you did with your own समझ. and you took the challenges like DKG and Sanjay ji have been taking. So that's remarkable. And coming back now, Sanjay ji, back to you, and thereafter, of course, we'll come back to Radha ji, and then, of course, two of our faculty professors will come in and they'll ask some questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bansaji. Yeah, so I think in this last bit, I would also like to stick to the PhD chamber where DKG passed on the baton to me on 30th of September 2020. And it was again, he spent full 6 months of his latter part of his presidency battling this. I spent nearly the whole year because till September, October 22, it was almost still COVID time. And I must say that the basic groundwork that DKG did in the first 6 months was actually amazing. What we achieved in those first 6 months while DKG was the president was absolutely wonderful, because we were able to actually interact with the people who were the decision makers, who would otherwise have taken 3 months to give you time to be there available for you and do what the industry is asking to be done. So that was a great thing. But then it was the whole thing, our whole world had been turned on its head. The chamber ultimately is a large organization. We have a very large budget. We have more than 150 employees, and not just lower level employees, but some very highly paid, high level employees also, a large number in fact. And considering that we had to be running this organization when the whole business model for the chamber itself had been turned on its head. There were simply no events to be had where you collect some large sponsorships or where you collect some large delegation fees and do your make your budget. So the whole thing, it had been disturbed already in the previous year, but luckily for us, we do most of our collections during a period which is after the financial year starts. So that has its own impact, plus minus either way. What I can say is the PhD chamber weathered it nicely, but as I was also saying earlier, challenge is the other side of the mirror for opportunity. So if you look at it, this challenge which the PhD chamber took on, I think it has really brought our PhD chamber to a different level. The sort of action, we were there for the industry wherever there was an issue to be raised, and we were there with the relevant inputs, not only as the intermediary between the trade and the government, but also with the intellectual input, which was very necessary. I think the PhD chamber has become now a place that the policymakers and the industry both look up to for giving some cerebral inputs, or giving some practical inputs into what are the issues that need to be addressed and their solutions both ways. Our feedback on the economy, we have started 3 indices parallelly in the last year, and I think each of these indices carries a lot of weight and meaning. And I think this challenge having been converted into opportunity is actually good, because the PhD chamber came out the winner. We had 600, during my term, we had 598 events, if I'm not wrong. That was the count. And what it means is that the leadership, it's not just one person, it's the full leadership, my full team, whether it's my immediate former president or my senior vice president or my vice president, and then the whole secretariat. Everybody has to be working in tandem. So it's not a one-man band or a two-man band, it's a whole orchestra, like the classical musical orchestra that you see, and you can't have anything out of place. So that is that is the other learning thing, that the chamber as an institution has been able to take this challenge and turn into opportunity. And of course, my personal one challenge that I have actually had a very bad time initially, but I feel very satisfied about later, is the decision to import oxygen plants. That was a time when we were facing such a huge shortage of oxygen plants in Delhi and around. And the chamber did not need to be always looked upon only as a club for businessmen who talk business only. We are supposed to be having a large presence across so many states. Nearly, we have an all India footprint. We have so many offices. We have such a large footprint among the industry, and then not to be part of the effort that the nation was making at that time was also, not something that we could live with. But to have identified, it was, the easier part was to identify, okay, we need to import some oxygen plants and we can then install those oxygen plants into charitable hospitals. So typically we identified an oxygen plant which would be capable of supplying oxygen to 150 patients at the same time. And then to identify the hospitals, and that was fine. But then the toughest part was, even after having raised the money, to get the oxygen plant physically from China into India at that time. We were able to identify, and despite having all cooperation of all fronts, in fact, we were able to talk to Niti Aayog and they were willing to arrange for an Air Force plane to bring two oxygen plants at a time from Hong Kong airport, for example, at that time. But there were so many technical issues involved. An oxygen plant is supposed to be having certain components which cannot be landed on, loaded onto an aircraft. There can be a risk of explosion. Ultimately, all said and done, all those oxygen plants were required to then come by sea in containers, which was not also a very easy thing to do. And then you had that typical maze of bureaucracy to battle with on different interpretations of an oxygen plant, whether it is duty-free or not. But all those challenges I really enjoyed. It came to a stage where installing the oxygen plants, I was not able to find a contractor for a reasonable cost. So I sent my own factory's maintenance team to install the oxygen plants at the various places that we were doing. End of the day, it was a very, very satisfying experience. That it's not that the 12 oxygen plants which PhD chamber imported into such a huge country as ours made any big difference. But I think many such efforts by many thousands and millions of people across the country is what has really brought the country out as a comparatively much better off country from this COVID tragedy than compared to many other countries. So I feel very satisfied to have played my part in that.
Anuradhaji, before I come to you, there's a very interesting question in the chat box before the faculty takes the questions. They are saying that since you people are so busy executing or taking care of such big challenges, how do you take care of the challenges of your families and challenges of your employees? That's a very interesting question. And we can go in the reverse direction. Seemaji, we can start with you.
I think challenges with family, it's like life, any work and life, sometimes everything goes hand in hand. I remember asking this question to some prominent people that I had on my panel when I was a chairperson in Young FICCI Ladies Organization. And I remember this very clearly, that this person said that I'm a juggler and I keep juggling these 5 balls. And every time one ball falls, I just pick it up and I just start juggling again. So when we keep on, encountering different things, and then we keep on moving, we don't sit and complain about it, that I'm not being able to focus. There is no time to complain. It is, you just keep on moving, and that is part of life.
Sanjay ji, for you?
I think what Seemaji has said is absolutely, she summed it up very beautifully. For any person who's busy, who's spending his time doing things, it has to be juggling the balls, it has to be, balancing things. And probably one can say that one might not be the perfect husband or the perfect wife or the perfect father or the perfect brother. But, probably a person who's not busy or not doing things might not be even that imperfect, that right? So I think it's better to be it's better to be busy and have some deficiencies and be productive and doing things. Coming to the part where how to take care of your employees, I think that is something that any enterprise, any organization, educational or business or a chamber or a company or a business, anything. I think uh, nothing is ever achieved by one person alone. It can never be. And for that, you need to be working with your people and you need to be working your people, which means that it is a part of, it's like, breathing, that it should be a part, it's a part of the work that you do, how you're taking care of your colleagues, of your people in whom you are doing your work with. So I think it's part of, I think it's like living and breathing. It's as simple as that. And that is something that even for the family. But yes, you might not be, if you're too busy, you might not be taking care of your individual employees because you cannot look after 1,500 employees, for example, on a day-to-day basis. But then it's how you care and what, how is the, how you devise your, again, your time and your concern in what manner.
Very right. Thank you so very much. And DKG, what you will be able to add to this? Of course, everything has been said, but I'm sure you'll add something.
Bansaji, what I would say that, as I said, that if there are challenges, you have to face them and you have to handle them bravely. And in the first place, what I believe that when you talk of family challenge, that should not be there, because if you can't meet those challenges, then you can't meet any other challenge. So that challenge has to, because if you are happy inside and when your family is happy, then you are in a better shape and better position to handle other challenges. So of course, if there are three challenges before me, my first priority will go to the family, because that is where I cannot afford to be relaxed. And of course, employees, they they are the backbone of any organization, and they are the biggest strength of any organization. So what I'll say that any challenge has to be addressed, and you have to give full weightage. And in COVID times, in the latter vein, I will say that I have addressed all my challenges because I was at home addressing all the challenges.
You're quite right. And we always see a lot of energy and a lot of smile on your face all the time. And Sanjay ji, same. So that's the reason behind it. And Radhaji, in any case, keeps not smiling but laughing all the time. Yeah. So, Radhaji, because we have been able to, I must say, have beautiful 3 questions or 3.5 questions in about 1 hour and 5-7 minutes. A quick question from you, and then we go to some of the questions. Generally, our webinar goes to around 7:45, 7:50, because some people are very keen on some questions. And rather, you may like to tell us one toughest challenge for your business or family, whatever, or you're handling various situations across different chambers. What exactly would you like to say, and what's the learning that we have out of you?
Okay, I will share an experience which happened in 1984 when I was nearer in age to the NDIM students. So I was obviously much younger then. Our hospital, St. Stephen's Hospital, was celebrating its centenary year, and I was given the responsibility of organizing the program. Then President Honorable Rail Singh Ji had kindly agreed to come for the inauguration. It was being done in a very big way with a lot of ministers being invited, and we had engaged a very leading group of artists to perform after the initial speeches and all. And this was all written in the cards. It was widely publicized in the press, etc., etc. On the night of the program, like the program was tomorrow, the preceding night, the artists went on strike. Why they went on strike is because they knew it was such a big program and they wanted a big raise in their salaries. Now, I was on the board of this internationally known ballet company also. So I had two ways to go, either to succumb to their demand and go ahead with the program, or to go ahead with the program and arrange an alternate lesser known recreation program. Now, I thought to myself, I said, the guests are coming, the president is coming, everyone is coming because of the centenary of the hospital. And the program, the entertainment program is secondary. If we succumb to their needs today, every time there's a function like this, they will blackmail. And one should not succumb to blackmail. They should have honored the fact that the hospital is for needy people. They should not have gone and said that we will not do the program. So the next day we went ahead with the program, had a lesser entertainment thing, I mean comparatively insignificant, and the whole program went off very beautifully because the people had come mainly for the hospital. And let me share with you that in the 38 years since then, the artists have never gone on strike again.
Great.
Because, one should not succumb to blackmail. And
No,
this goes to the
yeah.
servants in the house. They call me from the village and they say, we will come if you raise our salary. I say, no, come on the same salary. I may raise it subsequently, but not as a precondition. So one should never succumb to blackmail. This
So
is the
learning is that, Anuradhaji, it's not just that. Learning is that you had such a large network. Learning is that you could depend on very large network of friends कि तू नहीं और सही, तू नहीं और सही. Okay, yeah. You had that in your pocket already. And of course, would have been very tough time to take that call.
Yes,
But yes,
because
yeah. And
the invitation cards had gone and it was
yeah,
president was coming, but we explained to him and he was so good, I can't tell you. He took the speech which was written for him, threw it on the floor, and he said, Bhagwan haspatalon se aur lawyer se bachaye. That
yeah,
was his first sentence.
yeah,
And then
yeah. No, that's fantastic. At such a young age, you took that such a big call. That was fantastic. So
Amazing.
that is how you are supporting us all this while in a big way. Yeah. So I'll introduce Dr. Komal Khattar and Professor Praveen, and they will be now taking it forward. Please go ahead.
A very good evening. First of all, I must thank the esteemed panelists for such a motivating and inspiring session. We all have truly gathered a lot of strengths after listening to such courage stories. So here I would like to ask that in today's scenario, thinking out of the box is not just a special edge, but the utmost requirement for almost all the businesses. But this may be threatening or dwarfing to some of us. So how do we overcome it, and how should we master our minds to be more creative and to be different from others? Can we train ourselves on this?
Should I go
Yeah,
ahead
please,
and
ma'am.
answer?
Yes, please.
I think, these days in this world of, small companies, coming up with innovative ideas and becoming unicorns and then takeovers and all of that, I see the, younger generation only wanting to think out of the box, They are too much into this thinking out of the box. Let's create something very unique, because unique sells more. But I would really recommend that we must have full knowledge of the subject or the business that we are going to get into. Go into the depth of it. Don't be superficially out of the box. Don't just feel that being out of the box is important, but getting into the depth of the actual business is very important. Increase your knowledge about it. Talk to a lot more people, about it, so that when you go into it fully knowing what one is doing. And then, and if you're going out of the box, then experiment. Take calculated risks, so that you're not blowing up, your parents' money or hard-earned money. So it's a very calculated risk. Thank you.
This is very, very well said. Having the domain knowledge is, of course, I think the foundation to everything. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so today we have a long list of questions. I'll first take up a question that has been sent in the chat box before I go to the question given to me by one of the students. So Mr. Tarun Kohli has asked a question: how do panelists handle challenge of demarcating roles of professionals in your respective companies versus your family members who might have a different vision at times, so that they can be effectively used to maximum extent? Do you do encourage micromanagement, or let professionals manage operational things by themselves with accountability and bigger vision of the promoters in mind? So may I request Sanjay sir to please take up this question, and then DK sir.
Sanjay ji, you're on mute.
Sir, you're on mute.
Kindly unmute kar le.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Is it okay now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You see, when you're working in the company, in the work environment, I think there should not be any major distinction between a family member and a professional. I think every family member also who's working in the company is working as a professional. So the demarcation should be the demarcation in terms of capabilities and duties. And I think that is probably the main demarcation, that the only way it is to be working. Of course, a family member might be a part of the management committee or the part of directors or whatever. That has to be, that would probably define the designation that person would be having after that person has a certain amount of experience. Initially, of course, even the family member would be a trainee or going up the levels, maybe at whatever pace, but part of the hierarchy. So I think as far as the working is concerned, it is the positioning of the individual, whether a professional or a family member, into the system. And the vision, of course, has to be the vision of the leader, of the managing director, of the chairman, as he translates it from the view of the all the stakeholders, whether it be the board or others. So I think that's the only way for it to be working.
You're on mute.
Parveen, aap bhi mute ho. DK ji, you would like to add to it? Yeah.
I think Sanjay ji has very rightly said. So what is right, that should prevail, whether he's a family member or a professional employee. So at times professional employee can go wrong, or at times a family member can be wrong. So we have to, we should not differentiate based on whether he's a family member or a professional thing. And secondly, micromanagement you talked about. So gone are the days when micromanagement used to be the culture, because now it is no more micromanagement. It is, you have to put processes, systems in place, and while hiring people, you have to make sure that you are hiring the right people, and then there has to be KRA. So micromanagement should never be the culture. It should be the overall objectives, vision has to be defined, and people should work around that, and then the performance should be evaluated. So micromanagement should not be there.
Right, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. So this won't come straight away as a question, but still I would like to know, we all, I'm sure, that although not very often, but we believe that there is one internal challenge we generally see, and that's that people are not only have the fear of failure, but we also suffer somewhere unintentionally the fear of success. So we somehow sabotage our own success because we are scared of what will be different if I'm finally successful, if I succeed. So how should we prepare ourselves from not fearing from our own success, which may happen on an accelerated path, maybe? We try somewhere to hold ourselves, taking the steps further, fearing our own success. I find Anuradha ma'am smiling on this, so maybe ma'am, we would like to hear from you.
To be scared of one's own success, you are saying, right? Now, I don't think one is scared of one's success. I think one is sometimes taken unawares, and then they don't know how to deal with it. But if you are actually working your path carefully, then I think you take success as it comes. You don't really fear it then. I don't think, I may be wrong,
Yeah,
but I don't think.
in fact, to be very honest, I don't agree with the question at all.
Yes, I don't think we fear success.
Because
The
why,
fear of-
what I would,
The
Here
fear
I
of
would like to
personal
add-
life changing
what
maybe
I would-
once you are
what I would-
No,
successful.
I would like to add here. You know, when you say fear, I think the word fear should not be there. There should not be fear of
Exactly.
failure. There should not be fear of success. Because when we have fear, you know, the basic foundation is wrong. So business is all about failure and success. And unless until you put efforts, you don't know whether it will be a failure or a success. So to do anything, you have to put efforts. Then whatever happens, you have to accept it. You have to try your best to do whatever best is possible, and then you have to accept the result. So there should be no fear of failure or
You're
success.
always apprehensive. Basically, it is apprehensive, you know.
Yes.
But somewhere that feeling is there that I will succeed. Okay. Apprehension is always there. Sometimes when you get into new things, there may be 90% no. Okay. Gradually it will come down to 40%, 50%, and somewhere you will get stuck at 50% yes or no. And that is the time your inner strength will push you that you get into it. Don't worry, we'll see to it. And you make a success out of it. It's always apprehension.
To
It is the
overcoming our
attitude which
own
defines the winner.
no, but
It is
the point
attitude
is,
defines the winner. Yeah.
no, but the point is, I think what Dr. Komal was saying was that some people are afraid of succeeding,
Yes.
right?
That's what she was
No,
saying.
That unintentional fear that my personal life or my entire scenario would change if I'm successful. That
Yeah,
fear.
so
Can I interject? Sorry, sorry, Sanjay ji, you were saying something.
no, I was just saying that this is something which probably, at least I'm hearing for the first time. There is a fear of failure, which is, of course, something that we all need to address. But a fear of success
Yes.
is something new to me. So I'm also in an educational institution today. So maybe I'm learning something new today.
I just want to say that, you know, it's been thousands of years since Krishna is trying to teach us this, you know, that karmanya vadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana, you know, and this is something that we all need to learn that, and I'm surrounded on this panel by all these karmi yogis who have put in so many years of hard work and everything, and I'm so inspired by everyone. I don't think they started working with the, you know, idea of what, whether whether success will come or failure will come. They just decided to keep on working and doing their best. Yeah.
Thank you. So I that's what I said. This wasn't really a question, but a thought maybe worth pondering upon. This comes as a part of emotional quotient when we speak. So.
Yeah, she's basically trying to say that if this happens, I will lose out on this happiness, or I lose out on this family support,
That's what
Maybe
or
I
I will
lose
lose
upon my
out on this
peace.
kind. Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. That I will jump into a bigger sea and I lose out on the smaller sea.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
That cocoon life maybe would be
Yeah.
over.
Yeah, some people, yeah, I know. Yeah. That I'll be to 20 to, if not 24, I'll be 20 to 7 working. I'm very happy working 4 hours a day. What will I do? I'll be pushed into a bigger order. Yeah. Yeah.
But that's what I think in Gita it says that अगर आप success होती है तो भी ज़्यादा खुश मत हो, failure होती है तब भी ज़्यादा खुश मत हो. When you have this kind of feeling, I think then you can handle every failure or success.
Acceptance.
Please go ahead, Praveen.
Yes. Seema ma'am.
I would like to mention here, my father, you know, someday when we go home and used to tell him कि पिताजी हमने आज 5 करोड़ रुपए कमाए, say in a one day. अच्छा बेटा ठीक है. You know, that was the answer. एक बार हमारा दिवाली वाले दिन we lost around maybe 7-8 crores. हमने उनको कहा कि आज दिवाली थी, आज हमारा 7-8 करोड़ का नुकसान हो गया, कोई मिसपंच हो गया था सौदा. He said कि ठीक है, कोई खास बात नहीं. You know, then we realized कि ना प्रॉफिट ना लॉस उनको कभी करता है कुछ. So that is what if we can have this kind of tendency, लाइफ के अंदर कभी इशू नहीं आएंगे.
Absolutely.
So the next question is specifically for Seema ma'am, because we have a lot of budding female entrepreneurs with us. So one of the questions that has come up is, as a leader, you must be, what is your biggest learning as a women leader? And what advice would you like to give to our budding female entrepreneurs? So we have a lot of female entrepreneurs also, students who would wish to become entrepreneurs. So what is your biggest learning and what advice would you like to give to them?
So, one of the biggest advice that I want you to always remember that being a woman, we have many advantages, so don't count, the world may tell us that we are not competent or we can't, like finances, for example, when many people feel that finances is not something women can do very well, but I think if you learn something, you can do it. And never ever use this as an excuse for not getting the full subject knowledge of what you're going to do. So always, whether you're a man or a woman, you have to have full subject knowledge and be ready to learn whenever possible. Try and learn as much as more possible, experiment, be fearless where you're working. And the glass ceiling does exist, but it doesn't matter. It's very tough for the boys also. It's not easy for the boys. I see it that families have so much more expectation from boys that it's very, very difficult for them. So challenges exist for girls and boys both, and it is not easy to be successful, but it's also not so hard. But we have to take on all the challenges. So if you're a woman, take on challenges. There are a lot of things that the government also supports, that to budding women entrepreneurs. Take all the advantages, take all the advantages, use your soft skills to enhance your business. There are a lot of businesses which could really do well. I think as a woman, my doors are always open to all my employees. I'm willing to talk to them. I engage with their families, but maybe because my business is small right now, I can do that. But these are soft skills that, as a woman we have. So enhance those soft skills. There's nothing wrong about it. We don't have to become manly to run a successful business. We can still be very feminine.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
So, is there time? Can we have one more question? Ma'am, can I?
Yes.
Okay. So, we have observed that whenever a new business is started, we find that every day brings in new challenges, and which needs to be resolved on a very, very urgent basis. And management spends most of their time troubleshooting or firefighting on those issues. So, but when that business grows, this approach probably may become a challenge. So, how should one keep himself focused and maintain the long-term vision while facing such challenges on daily basis? Do we need more specialization there? Do we need some extra team over there? How do we need to work upon this?
Should I?
Yes.
See, this is the biggest problem of current businesses. The top management is generally in the firefighting mode. You come to the office and you start, focusing on immediate things. And in this process, the most important things, they get unnoticed. So the right strategy is that one should have a long-term strategy. Say every organization should have a 5-year strategy in place. Once you have that 5-year strategy in place, and then you break it down into various actionables, then you can have short-term goals, like that. And then you should put in place a problem-solving mechanism at every level. Instead of everything coming to the top management, at every level, we should create a problem-solving mechanism so that, your time is not wasted on these daily issues. Because time management is most important. You should have a system in place that when you have a lot of time, you do not get affected by, maybe on a daily basis, you can have only 1 hour to look at, these things. And instead of being, tackling things immediately, you should have a proactive approach where, urgent things, you start looking various issues in such a way that immediate attention is not required for various issues. They do not come to a level where you have to pay urgent attention.
It's self-control mechanism.
Yeah.
Very good.
Thank you. Very, very well answered. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Yes. Dr. Bansal, do you want to continue or do you think we should wind up now?
No, we can wind up. Let this be last question already. So let Sanjay ji and all of you give your views, and then we will seek your leave. Because the interest that you have created, we can see that more than about 200 people are still there. But we would have another session with all of you some other time. And this question, once it is over, then we can be winding it up.
Yes.
Sanjay ji and Seema ji, if you would like to add to this.
I would only like to say that it's been more of an educative session for me, rather than just a speaking assignment. That was a small part. And even though DKG has been my colleague for 2 full years, we worked together practically day and night. Despite that, some new insights I was able to hear. And Seema ji, it was, of course, an experience listening to your experience and the different challenges that you have faced. And every challenge is to be actually wondered at that, okay, this was what one was facing and that's how one came out of it. So I think it's very educative for me. And I hope that for the listeners, for the viewers also, it has been educative. And I do hope to be attending some more of your sessions at NDIM.
Thank you.
Hopefully.
No, thank you so much. We are so excited because we have been doing it, as you rightly said, all of you, COVID was a big challenge. But yes, I don't want to get into our thing. We took it, our faculty took the challenge head on. We had the exam starting from 24th of March, the final exams. And students were all in the hostels here. And within 24 hours, we ensured that every student reached back their homes. We paid for their flights wherever necessary. We got everything vacated, saw them back homes. And we postponed the exam, can you believe, only by 2 days. Okay.
That's all.
Just 2 days, yeah. We put all our systems into place. All exams were handled online. And I mean, everything for us functioned normally. Only one thing was added, that all difficulty that you are seeing today, difficulty worked, I would say, 16 to 18 hours. I mean, this kind of a challenge, the team would never take up, especially the academia doesn't take up anywhere. I must say it openly, okay? Because they were in touch with the parents, they were in touch with the students till every evening or every second evening. The parents are worried what will happen to the careers of the children. Half of the parents were losing their jobs or the salaries had been cut. People living in small houses, doing their businesses, and students doing the studies. It was a very tough challenge. So the faculty kept up the spirit and they remained in touch with the parent, they remained in touch with the student. And would you believe that our placement profile during the 2 COVID years, 21 and 22, went up several notches. Okay. Well, all those things happened. Of course, the team took the challenge in a very big way, introduced artificial intelligence, was made compulsory for everybody. Although earlier it was a specialization only, meant for specialization students. Similarly, digital marketing was a specialization for the digital marketing students. But we thought without this, now after COVID, nobody can survive. So we gave full modules to all the students, faculty created it. Our students had to go for summer internship starting April after the exams. So obviously the internships had to happen offline. We had to request all the industry to make it online. But that was postponed by 4 weeks. So 4 weeks we started full studies back. 12th of April the exams ended. 13th of April the studies started. So it has been a great learning for all of us, and a great learning today from each one of you.
And even
Thank you
Dr.
so much.
Bansal, your convocation was done online in a very brilliant manner.
Oh no, convocations happened online. Ajay Piramal sab came for the convocation. Every time we had the honor of having then Chairman Tata Sons, Mr. N. Chandrasekharan, he came for the convocation last time. So both the convocations, the biggest of the people came and blessed the students. It has been, I would say, this challenge was not only great learning, but our people took the college to bigger heights this time. And this webinar also started in May 2020, because we had been made the mentor institute of the country by the government of India. And we didn't know how to do that mentoring, what to do. But we could have simply said, कि सब अब तो कुछ भी नहीं हो सकता. Okay. Then we said, no, let us try to pick up the data across the country. Let us try to keep requesting friends like you with folded hands. Can you सब आपके learning हमें दुनिया को लेके जानी है? So the AICT, the UGC, the HRD ministry, everybody is so very happy. And we have a total compilation of about 95 webinars that we've done in the last 2 years. All your learnings, everything is with us, both in the soft and hard form. So one has been trying to add some value to the education sector, whatever possible. But yes, as you all said, it's the faculty and the staff working 24/7, especially during this bad period.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Bansal. Thank you, Anuradha-ji.
Thank you.
I've learned also a lot from everyone, all the panelists, and I just want to request Dr. Komal, and Dr. Bansal to, put my company also as one of your in one of your lists. So if any students, any female students want to come work with us, do internships with us, we will be very happy to have them.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Seemaji, we would also
Thank you, Bansalji.
No, we would also visit the school for specially, special children.
Yes,
we would certainly like to visit that too.
Yes, that
And
will
Sanjay ji to
really
milte rehte hain, but I will go and see DKG now.
Bilkul. It would be my pleasure. And I must appreciate that getting women entrepreneur also along with us. I think that was a very good, very good initiative you have taken. And she was very inspirational. And thank you, Seemaji. I think it was
Thank
pleasure
you so
hearing
much.
you.
I have so much to learn from you all. So I'm glad to be on this panel.
Thank you very much.
you.
And
Thank you, Anuradha-ji.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Anuradha-ji, in a very big way.
Thank you,
Thank
Bansalji.
you, DK bhai. Thank you, Sanjay
Thank
ji.
you,
And
ji.
grateful, Seemaji. It's a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, Komal. Thank you, Praveen. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you, Professor
Thank you,
Tina.
Anuradha-ji.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
very much.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Thank you.
Namaskar. Bye.
Thank you.